my video on developing your children's fine motor skills. I've got lots of ideas for you to try. I'm going to start with modelling dough. I've made some of my own. I used a cup of flour, 3/4 of a cup of salt, half a cup of boiled water and a tablespoon of oil. I then put it in the fridge, waited for it to cool down, and then it was ready to use. Children just love modelling dough. Lots and lots of things you can do with it. You can ask them to roll the dough, to make balls, to knead the dough, to make pancakes. The choices are endless and it's all good for strengthening those important muscles. Modelling dough is also really great for role play. You could say to your child, can you make me some sausages for the frying pan? So again, that's encouraging them to use that ruling action. Or can you make me an egg for the egg cup? Again, it's that modelling and using their fingers all at the same time. It's strengthening those muscles. Tracks and trails are a great way of developing your children's fine motor skills. Whilst playing and pushing the train along, they're developing those important muscles in readiness for handwriting later on. You don't have to spend lots of money on train tracks, you can make your own. I just used some black sugar paper, cut it into strips and then glued it together. The beauty of that is you can create lots of different patterns, so you can give them practice pushing a train along a straight track. Then as they get good at that, you can use curved tracks. The choices are endless. Here I used some sugar paper, I got some thick chalks and I just drew a race track. So once again, you're giving your children opportunities to take the bike around the track and all the time they're developing their fine motor skills. Here I've made a zigzag road. So once again, it's just giving your children experience of different patterns. The beauty of these sorts of tracks are you can draw them outside nice and big. If you get yourself some thick chalks like this, you can draw them on the pavements outside and then the rain can come along and wash it all away at a later date. I expect you've seen countless threading games and activities in the shops. You don't need to buy them, you can make your own. Here I've got some different coloured pieces of paper. I laminated them and then I punched some holes around the edge and then I used a lace to do some threading myself. You can also use pasta to thread onto string or a lace. Again, I would suggest you supervise them during this activity. Why not give your children a toilet roll? They just love toilet rolls, kitchen rolls. Again, you can do endless things with them. Here I made them into characters. I cut some spiky hair. Give children a pair of safety scissors and they can have a go at snipping the hair off. I would suggest you supervise your children when using scissors, especially if it's for the first time. And here's a little hedgehog. You know, once they get good at using scissors, they can make the snips themselves. Drawing trails is a really nice activity. I would start with straight trails and teach your children how to use scissors properly to cut straight lines. They start on the dot and cut across. Once they're good at that, you can go on to draw them curved trails. A little bit trickier, but it's about teaching them how to hold the paper at the right angle. One of my favourites, and very popular with children, is using tweezers to pick up objects. So you set them a challenge. Can you get the objects into a container without using your fingers? There are special children's tweezers available, and if you can, I would recommend you purchasing a pair of those. But you can use other kitchen tongs, or you might even want to try chopsticks. So I've got some different coloured pom-poms in my egg box, and the challenge would be, can you use your tweezers to put the pom-poms in the right colour groups. Like put the blues together, the pinks, the yellows, like that. Another challenge could be, can you put the pasta into the saucepan without using your fingers? This one is slightly easier because I've used bigger bits. Okay. Sand is fantastic for developing your children's fine motor skills. You don't need an expensive sand pit. Just get yourself a seed tray and fill it with a little bit of sand, and then give your child some different size paint brushes and they can make lots of patterns in the sand. You could also use cotton buds or even just their fingers. The beauty of this is once they've finished, you can just wipe it flat again and they can use it again. Another option, but slightly messier, would be to fill it with flour or even shaving foam. Something else to try is making your own treasure island. You could get yourself a plastic box, fill it with sand, put some treasure in the sand, give your child a spade and challenge them to find the treasure without using their hands. Again, it's developing their coordination and their fine motor skills, and children will like the element of surprise. This time you could let them use their hands. You could give them some measuring objects, just some containers, okay, and you could say, okay, well how many egg cups does it take to fill the blue cup? So again, you're getting some maths in because you'll be counting 1, 2, etc. But you're also getting them to develop their muscles. Why not give your children a plastic container with some water in and a fishing net? I put some shells in the water, you can put anything, and you can challenge them to get the shells out of the water using a fishing net. Okay, it's really good for their coordination, which will help with their handwriting when they come to do that. If you don't like the idea of them having water, there are plenty of commercial games available. This is a magnetic game. I've got some magnetic fish, and you can challenge the children to use the fishing rod to pick up the fish. You can do some counting as well. You can count the number of fish. If you don't have lots of magnetic shapes yourself, you could make your own. You could draw some on paper, laminate them, and then stick a paper clip on, and you'll find that the fishing rod will attach itself to the paper clip. Encourage children to experiment with making patterns by providing lots of different sorts of paper. Here I've got lined paper, plain, squared, and paper with dots. They love to draw and scribble on all different sorts of things. I've made little booklets, and I've made a card. So when it's somebody's birthday, get them to make a birthday card. All these sorts of things will help with their fine motor skills. Also try to provide a range of pens and felt tips, crayons, pencils, pens. I've got some post-it notes here. It's just really providing the resources to encourage them to attempt to do their handwriting, which will probably look like scribble, but that is fantastic. Children love printing and painting, and you can buy lots of great paint brushes and things to print with. But have you thought about maybe using corks to do some printing, or pastry brushes, even a scrubbing brush or an old toothbrush are really good things to print with. You could even get toilet rolls and do some printing that way. Well, that's it for today. We've reached the end of the video. If you found any of this useful, it would be really helpful if you could subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and bye bye for now.